they're gonna go down the line because I don't feel marijuana is a gateway drug. It depends on the person. Depends on the
And
person.
and I for one can say it's not a gateway drug because I tried shrooms before I tried any type of marijuana, and that was
I don't know
That's
how many
not
of
it.
I don't know how many
Shrooms,
people.
It ain't it.
I don't know.
Jesus, thank you, Lord, for bringing us through the shrooms.
Deliverance.
My
This
God.
daughter is,
Deliverance.
Oh my goodness.
I don't even get mushrooms on my pizza, guys.
That is a sin, right? Welcome, everybody. This is Beyond the Walls. You're here with me, Harry, Young Brother Better Preach. I'm here with one,
Yes, sir.
D,
you.
Rico,
Suck up fed.
and Sophony.
Hola.
How's everybody doing? We have another very interesting topic for you today. Our title for this podcast today is Can I Get High and Worship the Most High?
Shabba.
It's a lover,
Beat me to the Shabba. And not for nothing, was Shabba Ranks even big on marijuana?
I don't know.
Probably.
I know he had.
I'm prejudging,
what
but
it is?
probably.
I know he had mad jewelry.
We're assuming
Yeah.
because he's Jamaican
Yeah.
Jamaican.
for
Oh,
sure.
man.
that he was big on marijuana.
But yeah, I think it's a very relevant topic to have because, I think a federal bill just went through legalizing
Yes.
marijuana on a federal level.
Woohoo! No, I'm just kidding.
Homer Simpson happy over there.
Ch-ch-chong.
My goodness.
No, I'm kidding.
So it's been on a federal level, it's been legalized, and I think in a lot before that, in many different states, Cali, Colorado, all these different states, you had that legalized, and they've made it open for people to monetize this, and the government's making a whole lot of money
For sure.
on,
For sure.
on this. But what does the church say about this?
Mm.
What? I feel like it's not spoken of on our pulpits.
Not at all.
Nobody wants to touch it.
Nope.
But it's definitely a discussion that needs to be had.
You know what's crazy about that?
What's that?
Anybody that I know, even at work, right? If I know this person, they're a believer, and I know they smoke, I have that conversation with them. Like, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
You a believer? Like, yeah. You smoke? Like, yeah. Like, how do you feel about being in that state and communicating with your creator? And you always get kind of a different answer, right?
Right.
You get those answers where, you know what, I never thought about it that way. Some people will say, you know what, I feel like I have a closer connection. I asked somebody that was close to me about that, and they said they feel like their first connection with their true connection with God communicating with them came while they were under the influence of Mary J.
My
Hayne.
Lord.
So it's always a mix. You get a mixed review.
It's
Dubious.
it's a very touchy topic, and I felt like I didn't know enough, and I still don't know enough.
Yeah.
It's continued research. I'm always looking up info and
What kind of research and when are you doing it?
Right.
Yeah, for real, right?
That's why you
all
were in
academic.
Cali at the San
How
Francisco
are you
49ers
doing
game.
it?
Right.
How are you doing it?
It's all
my friend?
academic. But first, I just want to go on a small little tirade about just off face value why I don't like marijuana.
Okay.
First of all, they stank. All right?
It sound like Dave Chappelle. They stank.
Black lip beast.
Oh, black lip beats. This is wild.
Fogging up all the regular people's air. It stanks. All right? Did I mention they stank?
They stank, bro.
A friend of mine told me there's strands that don't smell as.
Whatever.
They don't smell like Febreze.
A friend?
of mine.
A friend wanted to know.
A friend of mine.
So
There
I've
are
done
strands
some
that
I've
smell.
done some initial research, and I've come to sort of a conclusion. Sort of. It's not like a full like I'm all about this, but I initially I didn't think I had a problem with marijuana. Maybe when I was younger, but when I came into like more knowledgeable about things, I was more of like, well, it's natural and it grows out of the ground and it's not really addictive in a sense. It's not physiologically addictive. And I always
You have
thought
really nice nail beds.
Oh, thank you.
That is crazy.
Are you on
A
marijuana?
nail bed. I didn't know nails went to
Ladies
sleep.
and gentlemen, I am very,
nails
very
went to
suspicious
sleep.
of Sophony right now.
Nail
Are
bed.
you currently on marijuana? Talking about nail beds? Go ahead,
He took it with his hands, and I was just like, wow, those look nicer than my nails.
Go ahead, man.
Sorry.
So, I did some additional research, and then I realized that there are components of marijuana, and there is THC,
Yes.
which is delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol, and then there's CBD, cannabidiol, and so these two different components are what people are after. This is what is the big money maker in this current climate, right? This economic climate when it comes to legalized marijuana, and CBD is can be looked at more of a medicinal, and THC has also some medicinal benefits, but THC is what gives you the high. It's the component that gives you the high,
Yeah.
and this is what our recreational people want. They want the high. That's what they look for, and
And then with the CBD, it gives you the high without feeling
the
high.
CBD has a very, very low has a very low trace of THC, and even that much more. CBD inhibits THC when it's in the body, so it kind of inhibits the high because this. I hope I'm correct when I say this, but the same receptors in our body that catches the THC, CBD can block it by attaching to that receptor also, so it blocks the high. So for me, the conclusion after all of this that I've come to is I'm cool with CBD on a personal level. I'm cool with CBD for medicinal purposes. A lot of the same medicinal benefits that THC has, CBD also has.
Yeah.
And so I feel like if it's definitely a medical need, I think it's okay. When it comes to CBD, I think if it's helping you, whether it be for seizures or a mental disorder, or there's a
Anxiety,
whole host,
depression,
anxiety,
all of
there's a
that.
whole host of things that it can help with, and I think it's okay. The THC, because it's a mind alterer, that's where I feel like I should draw the line. Just personally for me, Bible speaks on being sober, being vigilant, and I kind of look at it the same way as I would alcohol. Do I drink alcohol socially when I go to family parties, Thanksgiving? I'll probably gonna have some cremas. I'm probably gonna have some spiked eggnog. But this is personal. I've never been drunk before. I've never had the desire to, because I've been to way too many house parties where I've seen too many people drunk where I never wanted to be like that. That's just me. I'm not better. I'm not worse than anybody. You know what I'm saying? That's just a personal choice. And so I take it the same way. If drunkenness is a sin, then I would take it also the same way as being high a sin too. That's
Different effects on both.
Boys to men, ABC, CBD, the East Coast family. I've been waiting to do that.
They stank. No, sorry.
You make a great point, right? And a lot of people with anything in life, you always ask somebody how they feel about it, right?
Yeah.
My thing is, how does God feel about it? Not to sound like
Yeah.
super duper, but honestly, being in California, I was in California for 15 years. When I had the opportunity to go get my card, I went to the doctor's office. My homeboy had a card, $60. Yo, this is what's wrong. He said, nah, tell him this is what's wrong. All right, cool, write it down for me. Wrote it down, walked out with a badge and everything. Next week, had my thing, was in a dispensary. Going in, buying. You know what I mean? So through that experience, because I never smoked growing up, I was around it so much, and I used to see like my parents' displeasure, to be honest with you, and just being around it all the time, and seeing how people acted on it, and it seemed like people were addicted to it. I was like, I'm straight.
Not for me.
Like you said with alcohol, I don't want that. I don't want this to be something that I latch on, right? When I got to California, started to experiment a little bit. Started smoking. Not experiment. I started smoking. What kind of stopped me? Well, what stopped me from smoking was God pleased with what I was doing? You know what I mean? Because when I was out there acting up, I was out there acting up, right? But when you're trying to change, you got to change.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
nothing that you can force. If you know this is something that he's not pleased with, it's something that he's not pleased with.
Right.
And another thing you were saying, right? Be sober-minded. There's 2 reasons why the word says to be sober-minded. First of all, you don't want nobody sneak up on you and bang, bang. You're out of there, right?
Yeah.
Second of all, it says be sober-minded so you can pray. It also says to pray without ceasing.
Yeah.
That's praying all of the time.
Yeah.
So technically, it's supposed to be in the right mind 24/7.
Yeah.
But if you think about that as well, right? You can not only be drunk with alcohol or be high with marijuana,
You be drunk with power.
power, pride, rage, all of
Yeah,
that stuff
yeah,
as well.
yeah,
So
Yeah.
it's one of those. It's a touchy subject.
It is, and at the same time, this is not an end all be all. Like if you smoke, you going to hell. Like no,
Yeah.
like there are people out there who are dealing with highly stressful situations.
For
This is not a
sure.
justification for it, but I understand that sometimes people feel like this is their only choice. Like sometimes they feel like I'm picking a lesser of 2 evils. Like they got rap music talking about Molly and Percocet to just get away and disconnect.
Mhm.
Where like, I can do weed and they feel like I won't necessarily jeopardize my children's life, or I won't
Or be a zombie.
I won't be a zombie, or what for whatever. They use it as like a little. They need it, like they feel like they need it.
Yeah.
And I feel like where the trouble comes with with anything, whether it be a girl or a guy, where like a person or an object or something can become the focal point of your life.
Mhm.
I feel like it falls into a little bit of idolatry, where this thing becomes your answer.
Yeah.
When I'm angry, I go smoke, or
Mhm.
when I'm angry, I'll go sleep with this girl that
Mhm.
she's always open to me.
Yeah.
Or when I'm sad, I do this.
Mhm.
Yeah.
If that's always I feel like if that's always your answer, your problem will always persist if you don't. And speaking spiritually, your problem will always persist if you never take it to God,
Yes.
if you never bring it before Him.
So
My-
what about the medicinal part of it as well, right? Because some people, you mentioned anxiety, you mentioned depression.
Yeah, people are
and if
dealing
you
with
look up
heavy
indica
stuff.
and you look up sativa,
Yeah.
that's what indica is good for, right?
Yeah.
It relaxes you. It's more
Mhm.
of like a muscle relaxer.
Cancer
Rest in peace.
patients.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
chemotherapy
And
gives
that's
you
the-
heavy nausea, like
Yeah.
throwing up, and
Well, I think that's. I don't know. I got mixed feelings about the whole thing.
Let's talk about it.
But I think that's just the difference too. You said that there's a difference. There's indica, there's sativa. I don't know. I feel like even with THC and getting drunk, I still feel like it's the same thing, because I think somebody could get drunk enough to even have alcohol poisoning, and
Yeah.
they can cause issues in the liver and all this other stuff. And you can't overdose on THC. Like
No.
even like
No,
the way that
you'd
you
have
can
to
on
have-
perks.
you'd have to
You
have
can't-
like smoke a car full of marijuana.
Yeah,
to
you
it's
and
like
so,
impossible.
I don't know. I feel like there's still a difference there, and
Yeah.
then I also feel like, I don't know. I feel like if I got drunk on alcohol and then like if I smoked, I still could have a different conversation with God
For sure.
than being super
I've been
drunk.
on the
I really
toll.
love
I
you,
like
God.
they're-
Like
I've
you're
been- listen,
like
I've
when you're
been
drunk,
on-
it's like it don't even make
Yeah,
sense.
You
with
don't
the
even make
alcohol, having-
sense.
Right.
you know?
And I feel like with the THC part, I don't want to get in trouble by people that are like, you're ban her, don't invite her nowhere.
Nah.
But I feel like it I don't know. I feel like it just opens you
Opens
up.
your mind.
Yeah, I feel like it opens you up in a certain way. But anyways, I'm not gonna
it
get
does,
started.
it
you
does
know-
open.
But-
Coming from you, because you're
It does open.
I look at you as an intelligent person, like that. In my mind, like that doesn't make me feel uncomfortable. But because I've had other people say that to me, who I think are a little out there, and when I make out there, it's like I feel like when they, and this is just them, my judgment of them, just off rip, was when I started talking to them, like they talked about how they first started smoking weed, and now they talk crazy. It's like they don't
It's true.
they don't make sense.
Gotcha.
And like when I hear someone like that person I was talking to, when I hear them say that, it reminded me of the tree in the garden, where it was fruit,
Mhm.
it was natural, but God told them not to have that. And he said, because if you do, your eyes will be open. And I
Mhm.
feel like when people say it opens up your mind, I feel like it's like your eyes will be open, and it's like, well, yeah, maybe that might be a good thing, but that's not something God wanted, But
Maybe,
that's
maybe
just from
not.
that was just from my conversation with that
Mhm,
person,
mhm.
because he didn't really, he shouldn't be the spokesperson of marijuana because you're not.
Like,
you
I
know?
wasn't surprised when you said that
Yeah.
your friend said,
That
or
it
the most
opened the-
intimate conversations
yep,
they've had.
for
I'm not
sure.
surprised about that for so many reasons.
got you.
And I agree with you. I think I am hands down a supporter 100% of CBD. 100%. Like, especially being somebody that used to be addicted to painkillers.
Mhm.
You know, when I had my second surgery,
Mhm.
I decided to opt out of taking any painkillers,
Yep.
and I went for CBD instead.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So I am 100% supportive of that. I do agree with you with the THC. They are different strands that affect people differently. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think THC sometimes affects some of the psychosis part of the brain, like, you know, so
Yes.
for some people
it doesn't help with psychosis. Let's
Yeah.
just say that.
yeah, so I agree.
CBD does though.
CBD does, you know what I mean? So I agree with to a certain extent, but I don't know, I think it's kind of pushing it to me when you compare THC to alcohol.
Right. Because you can't again, you can have way too much alcohol, but there's no ODing on marijuana.
There's not, but there's a state where you still.
No, not for
You're
nothing.
still
when
Yeah,
you
super
slow.
high.
You look like
For
you're on
sure.
that
My
high
my
grade
question
right now.
is
Yes.
now, and people can comment on this when they see this, but is like, have they regulated like the amounts of
What
like
you're supposed
like
to
when
have
you
and
when
not
you
have.
when you got a bottle of Arbor Mist,
Mhm.
which is like 5%
Right.
alcohol, which is my beverage of choice. Anyway,
Got 20
Would you
Arbor
like-
Mist bottles
would
in
you
the
like-
back
I was
seat.
about to say,
But there's only
would you like a
There's only
tampon with that
5%.
Arbor
But
Mist?
if you have like six
So-
packs of it,
right, then you gonna be
Yeah, for sure.
But what's in a like? Is the amount in a blunt like? What's the regulation on blunt? It's not regulated.
I
could
think
you
so.
get
Well,
higher? Is what I'm saying. Like,
what-
you know, like could
If
like,
is it a big blunt? Is it a small blunt? Is it a fat blunt?
It
Is it?
depends. It depends on the person because
It does, and on tolerance as well.
Yeah, because my
Right.
man Dion Waiters had a little panic attack
Oh
on
man, come on.
Who's Deion Wade?
So
A
Deion
basketball
Waiters
player.
is a player for the Miami Heat. It actually, y'all are laughing.
I
It
did
cost
hear
him $1
about
million.
what happened? I didn't even know
I'm
what
pretty,
happened.
I was surprised I didn't hear
What
anything about that, to be honest with
He
you.
got-
Deion
cut,
Waiters,
right?
No, he did not.
No, he was
so
on the plane.
Yeah, Deion Waiters was on his way to play the Los Angeles Lakers. A teammate,
my
he
God.
says,
California.
gave him.
He didn't rat him out though.
He did not rat him out.
Tekashi,
Gave
you feel
him
me?
a special gummy bear.
My
Edibles.
goodness.
Now,
Those
it's
are
a weird
dangerous.
story because I don't know if it necessarily. He said he had an upset stomach. I don't know
No,
why.
bro, he had like seizures, bro.
No,
on the
no, I'm
plane.
talking about
What
why
you
did he
mean?
take
why
the
did he take
gummy?
Oh, why did he take it?
Yeah.
Because he.
He wanted to
Wow.
have
In
a
any
good time.
event,
You wanted that ooh-wee.
The Miami Heat are
Praise
getting
God.
ready to play the Los Angeles Lakers. They're about to get on the plane. He takes this special gummy.
On the way to the game.
It's
Right.
funny that the Miami Heat were playing the Lakers.
Right.
Heat is what ignites the blunt,
Right.
which is legal in
Right.
California.
You sure you haven't been smoking? No. All right.
Never a day in my
In
life.
any event, he
Never
gets
a
on
day
the
in my
plane, takes the special gummy, has a terrible reaction. Now, initially I was laughing too, but apparently it even ended in seizures.
Oh, Lord.
So he obviously wasn't able to play in the game. He cost him $1 million, and he was fined and
And I
he
think
was suspended.
Oh,
that,
geez.
and it should be controlled. Like, I think you shouldn't be
Yes.
going around taking it from anybody, just like you won't if you
It
have.
was a teammate.
But here's the thing too, even with this, because I think too, if it's like when we're talking about like medical
Mhm.
marijuana, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I'm having pain, I'm not gonna go to somebody and be like, hey, I heard the doctor prescribed you with pain meds. Let me use
Let me
yours.
use
Yeah,
you know
that's
what I
just-
mean?
well,
Like,
that
I think
happens
you need
every
to-
day.
That happens
It
every day.
does.
Yeah.
It's like-
Sure.
Let's put that out there. If you doing that, you just as wrong as people.
Fact, man.
You just
Fact.
as
So I
wrong.
think you need to.
Facts.
I think if it's medically given,
I
it
think if
should
it's
be
medically given,
okay.
it's across the board. If it's medically given, I think you're good. That's between you and God.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
for
do
sure.
also think, like coming away from that, I think everyone has personal convictions
Mhm.
Yeah.
that are not all across the board for everyone.
Right.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
just some things certain people feel convicted not to
Yeah.
do.
Right.
Yeah.
And where people go wrong is when they try to make personal convictions global
Yeah.
people,
or like
yeah.
general consensus convictions.
Right.
Like no, like I'll give you an example. There was maybe 10, 15 years ago, there was someone going on tour to different churches, letting females know that relaxing their hair was a great sin and you were going to hell for it as long as you had relaxer.
Nothing new with that.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it might be a personal conviction,
for sure.
which is a real weird conviction for whatever reason. That's personal between you and God.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't force people into that same conviction. You know what I'm saying?
So in summary, Harry don't like nappy hair.
So it's I really don't. No, I'm just playing. No, I love kinky.
wanted to,
I love
What's
I
nappy
love
hair?
kinky
I wanted to
natural
get
hair,
that episode.
baby.
I wanted
Right.
to get
What's
the-
nappy hair?
What's nappy
Exactly.
hair,
What's
bro?
nappy hair?
right here. Real quick, just to kind of steer it in a little bit of a different direction. One of my favorite quotes is branding is what's said about you when you're not in the room. And I suspect marijuana has like a branding problem. Just from the perspective of, if we're keeping it real, there is still a stigma attached to it.
For sure.
Absolutely.
It's a schedule is rated as a Schedule 1.
Still scheduled as Schedule 1 narcotic.
It's
Wrong with
still in the category of cocaine,
Cocaine,
heroin.
methamphetamines, and
Yup,
the whole 9
for
yards.
sure.
and I'm just gonna put this real quick blip in. It's just another way to put black bodies in prison. Go ahead.
No, and
Big
so
facts. Big facts.
if we, let's just get back to the Haitians, because they're always on my mind. The fact of the matter is, when older school Haitians think about it, they think about Marley
Yep.
and Rastafarians and different
Yep.
things like
Yeah.
that, and it is not an appealing aesthetic for them.
No.
The reality of the situation is, if marijuana was associated with, clean cut Martin Luther King types or whatever the
Yeah.
case may be,
Yeah.
who were smoking it in their pipes or whatever the
Yeah.
case may be, it would have
Yeah.
a completely different
sure.
view
Yeah,
to
for
that.
sure.
That being said, the topic of this podcast is marijuana with relation to your spirituality and connection with God and different things like that. You do a quick Google superficial search about what does the Bible say about marijuana, and the verses go back and forth between God giving us dominion over everything on earth,
Calling it
Yes.
good.
and then being careful of a sound mind, right? Like,
Yeah.
so it's one of those weird things where like Google can steer you all over the place, but I think it's pretty clear here, and I kind of agree with both sentiments in the sense of to walk around the world pretending that marijuana is the same thing as a methamphetamine is silly.
Crazy.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
Right?
Crazy.
It's a
You're
silly, it's a
misinformed.
silly concept, and it's one of those things where it's one of those urban myths, right? Where like for a long time you thought to yourself, cocaine, crack, and marijuana are all on the same level, and they simply
Absolutely
are not.
Absolutely not.
At the same time, if you can't dive into your Bible or get into a prayer without breaking out your bong, there's a problem.
That's
Absolutely.
the problem. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
There's a
very,
problem.
very much.
sure.
so.
I
Absolutely.
mean,
And
for me, like just looking at, because I'm kind of like where Harry's at, like just being around certain people that, or having experience with people that have gone through it. For me, I haven't really had like in-depth conversations, but just observing, it's just masking problems that they have.
Exactly.
That's all it is.
And-
You know what I'm
and-
saying? So
100%. And being around the people that we grew up around, it was just another outlet.
exactly.
It's just another
Yeah.
outlet. So whether it was marijuana or drinking or
Yep.
sex
Yep.
or this, it was
Right.
whatever
Food.
outlet or
Yeah.
food.
Yeah.
It was just a different outlet. So I
Yeah.
think at the end of the day, what are you making your idol?
What are you
Right.
making your idol?
Exactly. And
Exactly.
I had a quick illustration is you're driving in your car and everybody knows this feeling. It's like life is going well, finances are intact. All of a sudden, bing, check engine light comes on. You go hit the mechanic because, inspection's coming soon and you want to get that handled. And so if you bring it to a bad mechanic, what he will do is he'll go under the hood and he'll unscrew the light bulb that turned on the check engine light.
Yep.
Not fix anything.
You didn't fix anything. You
Yeah.
fixed the symptom, but you didn't fix anything.
You have that mechanic's phone number to check engine light dude?
Seriously, because I listen.
I'm asking
all right?
for a
I-
friend.
I need a past inspection, and I
I'm asking
these
for a
days,
friend.
please let me know.
His name is
man.
not Joselito,
All right.
Seriously.
but whatever,
My dad-
whatever.
Seriously, my dad was like, "Oh, put the machine up, I'm going to papi.
Word. Everybody got something.
I'm going to papi couch.
Everybody.
Oh my God.
You gotta keep a popping.
You gotta
You gotta keep it
around.
poppy.
But you You can't take your problems to a bad mechanic because all it will do, it'll mask it. It'll mask the symptoms, but the problem will still be there.
Sure.
You have to go to God about
So
this.
that's where you could say marijuana falls in line with cocaine, with heroin, and all of that. When someone is going through situations in their life, they're gonna go down the line.
Yeah.
Because I don't feel marijuana is a gateway drug. It depends on the person.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It depends on the person.
Yeah.
That's
Usually
true.
when people are going through those type of
Because coffee
seasons,
can be the gateway drug too.
Exactly.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
Food.
You see me
food,
scratch when
anything.
you said coffee.
But
For
yeah,
real.
man, you know, those things definitely it applies to not everyone in one specific just group. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And not for nothing, the key to a gateway is walking through it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
You know, there is a thing out there where the belief was once, and this is back to the black bodies thing. The belief was if you discuss this particular thing the same way you discuss other things, then extreme enforcement of it becomes not only mandatory but appropriate. So the idea that the person who tries marijuana says to themselves crack next week is not based on anything other than well, if we're fighting a war on drugs and we have to treat the marijuana seller the same exact way as we treat methamphetamine.
And I, for one, can say it's not a gateway drug because I tried shrooms before I tried any type of marijuana.
Wow.
And that, was
The Diaries of D. Upton.
I'm just saying. What year was that? 2000?
That is
2001
not-
maybe?
I don't know how many
Not
of
it.
I don't know how many people
It ain't it.
I don't know.
Jesus, thank you, Lord, for bringing us through the shrooms.
Deliverance.
This thought that was
Deliverance.
Oh my goodness.
I don't even get mushrooms on my pizza.
That is a sin right there. That and pineapples. Anyway.
Hold on.
You heard how
Taking it
quiet
too
it got when he said mushrooms. The entire
But
room was like,
but then again, like that brings up a great point. Is like if people who use the scriptures like, oh, he's given us every herb of the ground for our use.
Yep.
Like that was before the curse of sin.
Yeah.
After the curse, he was like, when you work the ground, you're going to get thorns and thistles. So obviously there's been some sort of natural change to nature as far as when it comes to plants, because you just can't go out and eat a certain mushroom because you'll die. Because certain mushrooms are poisonous.
And
Certain berries you eat from trees are poisonous.
Just too much of anything. If just reading the word, especially the Old Testament, right? Whenever God did something to the people, he'll tell a prophet or whoever's in charge at the time, tell your people to get some wine together, have a good time tonight.
Right.
Yeah.
We back at it tomorrow, right?
right.
But that's natural. But too
Absolutely.
much of it,
Too much
and then
of it,
Proverbs
exactly.
warns you against drinking any type of wine.
Drunkenness.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
And back to the Haitian culture thing, because I'm thinking about it now.
Eating too much.
Is, there's a certain superficial nature to a lot of this stuff that specific, again, just because we grew up in the culture, I stick to that culture, but I'm pretty sure it plays itself out in other cultures where, if being sober is a good thing, then our culture goes, the best thing to be is never touch anything ever at all, ever.
Yeah.
Right. They go
So-
too far.
Right. And it becomes this this superficial game of instead of seeking and focusing on a true connection with God and doing things of service and different things like that, it literally just is you going, I'm never seen with a drink or whatever the case may be, or
It
marijuana
becomes legalistic.
right,
Yeah.
right,
Mhm.
right.
I don't do this, therefore I'm right before God.
That's exactly
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
And you go to
That's
yourself,
not how
huh?
Christianity works.
At
What?
all.
It's not about the
It's
good
not
you
about
do.
your words.
And again,
Because
by
your
the way,
goodness is filthy rags.
right, and I'm gonna speak specifically for the people that I came up in church with and are no longer around. That hypocrisy is one of the main reasons that
100%.
made them go away. Where it was like,
100%.
you're right, you don't drink, you don't smoke, but faking car accidents is bad.
Oh, Oh, claiming people on your taxes.
Word.
Bad.
For
It's
sure.
the wrong
Yeah.
thing to do. So
yeah, marrying your cousin to get them in,
It's
not a good idea.
or to come here to the
Yikes.
United States.
Word.
It's
You
bad.
are my queen to be.
So, but yeah, I think it sounds like we're in agreement where we go, and there's another layer to this, which is, you know, we're essentially American kids. We're American people.
God bless America.
We have a different perspective on a lot of this stuff than our parents and the generations before us.
all across the board.
However, I think we view this particular plant, is what it is, differently than the generations before us. Use in moderation, I believe we're okay with. When it becomes a catalyst to your relationship with God, it has to go.
Yeah. Or if it becomes a replacement,
Yeah.
For sure.
it's got to go.
This is just me personally. Me personally.
Yeah.
I don't, you know, again, people say they have their experiences and so on and so forth. But, you know, the word says if you consider something to be sin, it doesn't matter if it's not sin to you. If I drop a pencil and I believe that's sin to me, then I've sinned against God and I sinned against whatever.
It speaks of the conscience. Right.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
So to me personally, I stopped because I felt that
You
it
felt
was
conviction.
Yeah, it was something that was blocking me for, dang, I don't even feel right approaching them like this. You know what I mean? So, you know.
Yeah, a piece of advice I gave someone a while back. It didn't even have anything to do with marijuana, but whether it be relationships or if anything, a decision that you're about to make, if you can't go to God about it, like you made a decision about something and you can't go to God about it, like that might be a sign that like it might not be the thing to do.
Got it.
If you feel uncomfortable talking to him about it because you feel this sort of thing, that's called conviction. Like he's letting you know already. He's like, this is not what I want for you.
God calls Adam. Adam stays hidden.
Yeah, he was hiding already.
Right.
He's like, yo, where you at?
Before he even knew.
Before he even knew.
Yeah. What
where
he
you
was
at?
being called
That
for.
So if you hiding, if you avoid that goes to show. And
Something's wrong.
if there's something wrong. And if you're using it as a replacement to what God can do for you ultimately, it's not very good. You're in the wrong. Another layer is in the scripture, sorcery is in the original language is pharmakeia, which is where we get the word pharmacy from. And so back in the day, pharmakeia or sorcery had many different, uses. It talked about whether it be for medicinal purposes, if you were to administer drugs or herbs or plants to someone back in those times, or it was a way, if you worshiped other gods, it was a way that you connected to those gods, like through ritual, like you would do this, smoke this plant or whatever, do this drug or take a potion or an elixir, and it caused you to have a spiritual experience with ultimately what was demonic. You know what I'm saying? And so am I saying everyone who smokes weed is having like worshiping the devil? No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I think in certain cases, I think you can open yourself up to things that you don't.
For sure.
It can open yourself up to things that you don't want any part of.
And I think that's the conversation, because like I said, I think it, with the THC at least, I think it definitely opens
THC,
you up.
I've seen
in a
somebody
way
had
that
a horrible reaction to smoking.
Yeah,
me
and I
too.
don't know what it is about
Yeah.
THC.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it opens you up in a way that perks or marijuana or anything else wouldn't.
People I know who have that sort of African spiritualist swag. They
third eye, man.
They speak of it, opening up your third eye, and then that alone just is like, it just sounds bad. It doesn't even sound godly. You know what I'm saying? It's not something that the Holy Spirit is supposed to do that work.
Yes.
He's supposed to open you up. He's the one that's supposed to give you knowledge on certain things. He's supposed to give you wisdom on certain things. You shouldn't be getting it from a mind-altering product.
There's a high that God has you can't reach, my
and
friends.
it may sound cliche, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
It's the truth.
Yeah.
God's high can be any other high.
It's kind of, to really think about it, it does sound really stupid.
What do you mean?
Like, just an item brings you closer to God.
No,
That's like saying this notebook will bring me closer to God.
I mean, but there's
stupid.
people that look at pastors and praise worship leaders that bring them closer to God.
Yeah.
Or like going to church brings them closer to God. A title brings them closer to God.
Right.
So
and
it's really
when you put
not
it,
just that.
if you put
Title,
anything in that place, that's where it becomes
for sure.
unhealthy, like spiritually. It just doesn't. It won't work for you. It'll eventually crumble at some point where there's gonna come a point if authentically you're recreationally you're doing it for that purpose to get away, there's gonna come a point where marijuana is not going to help.
That's it.
Yeah.
Especially if God's calling you
You're
to stop.
Something else.
You're gonna have to find something better.
That's with anything. That's
Stronger.
with,
Sure.
with anything.
You know what I'm saying?
As well.
So-
but for medicinal purposes, I've done some research. You know what's
I'm cool
crazy
with
about it? I did a research paper on this. Because my teacher was like a super Christian, but she was evil, so evil, but she was a super
Sounds like
Christian.
somebody I know.
That sounds about right, actually.
You know what I mean?
They're
And,
the evilest ones.
Nah, for sure. And I kind of did it out of spite, to be honest with you. I did this was in college, and I stopped smoking because I was playing sports at that time, right? So I just did a paper. I did a paper on it, and just the benefits, right? The benefits of legalizing it or decriminalizing it, and the health benefits that came along with it, I had no idea about. I honestly had no idea about. It talks about the people that had seizures, and you mentioned something about cancer patients that have deal with nausea, they have trouble eating, and so on and so forth. So they kind of did it to gain an appetite and so on and so forth. It's like, okay, it's a different perspective. You never know what somebody's going through, to be honest with you, and what it is that they're using.
Again, I'm gonna backtrack to what I said before. There are people who sincerely feel like this is the only thing right now keeping me going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And they're dealing with they're dealing with high stressful situations. But what my advice to them would be like, don't let it be the focal point of your marijuana is not your healer.
Yeah.
If you got responsibilities and all you doing is sitting in a room just like waking and baking. I heard that one time.
But that's the difference. That's
Wake
the
and
difference.
bake.
between
Yep.
different
Wake and bake.
strands.
Baby.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
but
what I feel like is the difference between the different.
Yeah. So
Some of them do make you super, super lazy.
Yeah.
And there's other ones that
help
bring that energy up.
Yeah.
And it really does help people.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah. So to those who
That's a
feel
nice
like
conversation.
to those who feel like this is the only thing that's helping me, there's a peace that God has that surpasses all understanding.
For sure.
And if you go to Him on it, He can help in those
For sure.
situations.
Okay, but how about after that? What after you're like, okay, yeah, I know. Like when people say you can have Jesus in therapy too.
Right.
What
I was just about to say that.
what
Because
if
some
that-
Jesus and weed too.
No, I'm just saying. What if that's the therapeutic thing for them? What if that's the therapeutic thing for them?
some of them, their mind
got
works
you.
like that.
I understand. I mean, that technically makes sense if it's providing the same thing that my therapist is providing, or if it's been prescribed to me by so and so forth for that purpose. But that's another look at it, right? For medicinal purposes. For if that's what they're prescribing you to do, then to each its own. But everybody has their own experience, and everybody has their own relationship with
your
it.
personal relationship is what matters most. If you're deviating from something that you feel God is convicting you about, then you're wrong. And I'm not talking about just marijuana.
Yeah.
Anything.
I'm talking about with anything that you feel like, well, this is not wrong to do this. Why are you telling me not to do this?
Yeah.
If you're deviating from whatever He tells you not to do, it's wrong.
Yeah.
It's wrong. So get high in the spirit of God. They stank. No, I'm sorry.
I get high.
You know what's crazy about that? Everyone's thinking about music, right? When you speak to the musicians or any artists and you ask about it, it just puts me in a better creative space.
Every single time.
Bro,
I can't go in the
it's
studio
so
without
Every
it.
single time.
stupid to me.
I
It's so foolish. I just sit there and I'm just like,
I've had
yeah,
tons of. I'm a musician.
We gotta break it up. We gotta roll up.
What?
No, I believe that because
Hold on. I
Hours
gotta drink. I gotta
later.
sip this water before I do this because it's gonna help me.
No,
Yeah,
there's a
bro.
difference
It's not-
between
it's
the
not-
alcohol. I'm telling you, there's something about THC that opens people
Nah,
up.
it definitely does.
It opens up
What?
certain parts.
It opens
does.
you up to what?
But the thing,
Creativity sometimes, whatever it is, like everybody
Or that space.
people.
The upside down.
even if it does, people do that on cocaine.
God, trying
People
to
do
get
that on cocaine
sure.
People
too.
do stupid stuff on cocaine.
People do. People
and
can,
on perks.
people can do a lot of brilliant things on cocaine.
Nah, for sure.
People-
Sammy
I'm
Davis
full.
Jr.,
I'm
Richard
telling
Pryor. You know, just some of the few people
Think
that
of
were
all the
that
greatest
kind of-
artists that we've had. A lot of them have been just straight up on comedians. Like they go
Lord,
out
this
and,
is
and
not
they.
it.
On cocaine.
This is not
I'm
it,
dead
Lord.
serious.
Marvin
Lord.
Gaye.
Oh, there are
Lord, this
there are
is not
comedians.
it.
We're not saying
Comedians-
go out there and do cocaine.
No,
just
but there are
saying.
comedians who go out on stage. They can't like do it without getting a
I
snort.
gotcha.
No, but doesn't make them brilliant or does
Yeah.
it, it's just like
I think-
absolutely
I
not.
think it's important to note that
It's not
all
the same thing.
all the people.
There's definitely a different. It's
well, all
definitely different.
there's a key element here, which is all the people
I need some crack.
Harry listed are like brilliant people, right?
Yeah,
It'd be
with,
like-
okay,
it'd be like-
that's true. So let me not disrespect their God-given talent.
But I know what you are saying in the sense
yeah,
of
let me not
if
do
you
that.
look at the videos or if you listen to some of the audio of the stuff that you love the most, those people were not sober.
Yeah, like the old Woodstock videos.
When everybody's out.
Sorry, I went to school in Cranston, so I know about this stuff. The old Woodstock video of Carlos Santana,
Mm-hmm.
and he's doing a guitar solo, and there's a drummer playing.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at their pupils, fully dilated,
Mm-hmm.
these dudes are in the sky, and they're killing it.
Probably on LSD
You know what I'm
back
saying?
then.
And
Yup.
so, yeah, whatever it be, Angel Dust, it's just a breeding. Like Woodstock was just a breeding ground for just
I just
Mission.
Yeah, but here's the reality too, though.
there's
A
some
lot
of
of
these
those
worship
artists,
yeah.
a lot of the people who were, most dominant back then, they'll tell you like, "Yo, drugs ruined that era."
Yes.
So
Yes.
if we look at some of the
Yes.
greatest jazz artists of all time, heroin ruined them.
Yes.
Yeah, Ray Charles.
So again, and it ties back into what we were discussing before, which is to say, if you are using these things as a main element to reach whatever potential you're trying to reach, you are doing it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You have it without it. Like
right.
you're better than that.
Mm-hmm. But some people just don't feel that way. They feel that that's just, I don't know. Once again, a lot of musicians are depressed, so
yeah.
they just use that
For
just
sure.
to
And
pacify
then
whatever
too,
they're going
you have
through.
to think about that.
Yeah.
And,
Church
yeah.
Other
musicians,
effects too.
a lot of church musicians be up on that too.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
musicians,
yeah,
Period.
they
they on it, and
Yeah.
it's such a weird dynamic because they're on stage playing great music, and there's worship happening
Mm-hmm.
in the congregation, and it's like this divide. Like when you try to visualize this spiritually, it's like what's going on. It's like it's hard to say. Is it like is this totally demonic or is this totally? But you can't really say that because it's personal. You know, there could be someone in the back who's just totally disengaged, ain't nothing going on, and there's someone on the side who's having an all-out giving their heart to God session. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So it definitely is personal. Just because the keyboardist was high doesn't make your worship
What do you
any
mean,
less
like,
of a
he had a high
value.
note, or he was like high? Like,
but yeah. Again, I think that's something that
it's a great
For the-
conversation that's
for
never
those
had
of you-
inside the four
Yeah.
walls.
for
though.
those of you, I'll put it like this: for those of you who are avoiding the conversation with God
Yeah.
about this,
Mhm.
it's time to go talk to
Very
him about it
important.
and see
Very
what he says
important.
about it.
For sure. Yeah.
100%. I agree.
Very
And
important.
with anything,
Mm-hmm.
the relationship that
Mhm.
you're in, the things that you're doing, all
Mhm.
like that, you just totally avoided that conversation with God. It's time to go talk to him
Yeah,
about it.
for sure.
You know?
100%.
I say that for myself
100%.
too.
Yeah.
You know, because I got some notifications in my mind playing. It's like, oh shoot,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's factual.
you know. But
So
I
stay
think-
away from THC.
Yeah, that's my personal conclusion. Stay away from the THC, CBD all the way.
All the way.
Real quick, let me give you some benefits that CBD and THC both have or don't have. When it comes to producing a high, obviously CBD is a no. THC, yes. Side effects, almost none with CBD. With THC, obviously psychoactive. There's a whole bevy of different things that can happen. Or it'd be just, a nice high, feeling good, or you running butt naked in the streets.
Exactly.
Does it show on a drug test? CBD, small possibility. THC, yes. Pain reliever, both of them. Reduces nausea, both of them. Eases migraines, both of them. Reduces anxiety, both of them. Eases depression for CBD, yes. THC, no. And this is I got this from Healthline. I got this from healthline.com.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
Decreases seizures for CBD, yes. THC, no. Anti-inflammatory, both of them, yes. Helps with insomnia, both of them, yes. Helps with psychosis, CBD, yes. THC, no.
Yeah, THC does the reverse.
Yeah.
The crazy thing about that is I get crazy migraines, right? So the doctor will tell you try a bunch of different things. They give you like mind or brain numbing medicines don't work. They tell you drink a lot of coffee. And I tried to smoke, but it made my head hurt even worse. So that definitely didn't help with the migraine stuff.
Yeah.
CBD.
Yeah. So
here's the thing with CBD. It's just like there's oils, there's all this other stuff.
Yes.
The thing is with THC and you're smoking it, eventually you're probably going to deal with the lung
Yeah,
issues
yeah,
and all this other stuff. So like with the CBD, you can use the oils. There's candy.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Gummies,
the same
all
thing with
that.
THC too. But like, there's.
Also too, I wanted to put that to the light. Our Western medicinal, our Western medicinal system, in my opinion, is totally flawed because when you go to the doctor and you tell them like I'm experiencing this and this and this, after 5 minutes they write you some script for something that's going to possibly help this, but then give you 5 other things. And so
come back and see me. Let me know what works for you.
They're getting some coin for prescribing it. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
And so for those of you who say like I'm doing this because I'm not trying to have them put me on this, I understand. I completely understand. I completely understand that because like what our Western medicine is doing to us today is doing more harm than good. Let me say that. Let me not say it's not helping. It's doing a lot more harm than good in certain aspects. So we'll end off with that. Yeah. This is Beyond the Walls, y'all. We're venturing into all the topics. We want all the smoke.
Boys to men, ABC,
we want
CBD.
All the smoke. We want all the smoke on these different topics.
Minus THC.
Minus
the THC.